relations with the World Economic Forum have yielded positive results. He was speaking at a cultural event at the 25th session of the World Economic Forum in Cape Town last night. The summit will end today with a discussion of financing large-scale infrastructure on the continent. Let's now cross to Cape Town for more.
Thanks very much, Elvis. Well, I'm here on the third and final day of the World Economic Forum on Africa. It's been a very interesting session with lots of topics being discussed. Today, like you said, Elvis, we are talking a lot about infrastructure and the funding thereof. And I'm joined by the Vice President for Africa of the World Bank, that is Monsieur Makhtar Diop. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, funding is a critical issue on the African continent. We know about the infrastructure gaps, and we know that funding is needed for that, and you're a key player in that area. What is happening in that arena, and have there been advancements in, say, the past 5 years?
We had a lot of progress in Africa in financing infrastructure. We moved from a situation where infrastructure were only financed by government or international organizations like ours, to a time where now the private sector is really investing in infrastructure. And that's very good news. We see more and more IPPs, we see more and more PPPs, which are partnership between the government with the public sector and the private sector. Why it's happening? It's because people are believing in Africa. The environment is sounder, the macroeconomic situation is better, the policies are better. So people are believing in Africa, and the return of investment is higher in Africa than it is in the rest of the world. So people are naturally coming here. $80 billion were invested in Africa last year, foreign direct investment. And more importantly, it's not only the rest of the world believe in Africa, but Africans believe in Africa. A few years ago, it was 8% of investment done by African investors in Africa. Today is 23%. So things are changing, and the private sector is becoming an increasing player in financing infrastructure in Africa.
Where are we seeing evidence of real big projects that are actually happening or that are bankable and about to be implemented?
What we're seeing is more and more IPPs. It means that in Nigeria, we put close to 1 gigawatt of IPPs. We finance it through guarantees. It means that the private sector is investing in Nigeria to generate electricity. That didn't happen 10 years ago. And it's happened massively, and the government wants to increase it significantly. In Kenya, the same is happening. We have in the Rift Valley a geothermal investment in Okaria, which makes not only generate electricity, but clean electricity. And that's what is new in Africa, and what Africa is bringing to the rest of the world. We are able to contribute to the debate on climate change while contributing to growth in Africa.
Monsieur, let me intervene there because we're limited on time. Very importantly, how does Africa avoid getting into a debt trap? Debt is good if we're investing in infrastructure, but how far should they go in investing for development without getting too much into debt?
By crowding in the private sector. That is the big answer. Crowding in the private sector, make sure that all these resources which are sitting in pension fund, which are sitting in the liquidity on the world market, is moving to invest in productive sector. To create the environment so that people trust the macroeconomic policies in Africa, are ready to invest on the longer term. One of the challenges that we had in Africa in terms of financing infrastructure is that they were financed by short maturity resources. 8 years maturity makes it very expensive to revolving it. Now we need to move to a time where we can bring resources with 15 years, 20 years, 30 years maturity to invest in infrastructure, and that will be lower the cost of investment. And that money is available in insurances, in other places, and that's what we need to work now towards.
Sounds very positive, a nice positive story for us. Thank you, Monsieur. That was Monsieur Makhtar Diop. He's the Vice President for Africa at the World Bank. It's back to you, Elvis.